For 12 years, Elena believed she knew her husband. She knew how Marcus took his coffee every morning. 2 sugars, no milk. She knew he hated crowded restaurants and preferred the corner table where he could see the entrance. She knew he checked the front door twice before bed. She knew that whenever he was nervous, he rubbed his thumb against the side of his index finger. And she knew that when he was hiding something, he became unusually quiet. That last detail had been bothering her for months. Marcus had always been confident. He could walk into a room full of strangers and leave 10 minutes later knowing everyone's name. He could convince a skeptical client to sign a contract. He could make employees believe that even the worst problem had an easy solution. That personality had helped them build their construction company. But Elena had built something too. She had built the foundation beneath it. They started the company 12 years earlier with almost nothing. Their first office was a cramped room above a hardware store. The roof leaked. The heating barely worked. They owned 2 second-hand computers and 1 printer that jammed every time someone printed more than 10 pages. Marcus handled clients. Elena handled everything else. She created invoices. She tracked expenses. She calculated payroll. She negotiated payment schedules. She prepared tax documents. She kept records of every dollar entering or leaving the company. Their first major contract came from a hotel renovation. Marcus negotiated the deal for 3 weeks. When he finally came home with the signed contract, he celebrated by opening a bottle of champagne. Elena read the agreement that same night. She noticed a clause buried on page 17. It allowed the client to withhold nearly $80,000 if the project was delayed by more than 10 days. Elena immediately called Marcus. "We can't sign this." He frowned. "Why?" She showed him the clause. He stared at it. Then he laughed. "I didn't see that." "I know." They renegotiated. They saved the company from a disaster before it even happened. Marcus hugged her afterward. "You're the reason this company will survive." Elena believed him. For years, she believed they were partners in every sense. When the company grew, they celebrated together. When they hired their first employee, they took a photograph. When they bought their first company vehicle, Marcus let Elena choose the color. When they bought their house, they stood in the empty living room and promised each other they would never forget where they started. They had 2 children. They hosted family dinners. They traveled. They laughed. At least, Elena thought they did. Then Marcus began changing. At first, it was small. He started taking phone calls outside. Then he changed his phone password. Then he started carrying his phone everywhere, even into the shower. Elena noticed. She didn't say anything. She didn't want to become suspicious of her own husband without proof. One evening, Marcus came home 2 hours late. "Traffic?" Elena asked. "Yes." "What happened?" "Nothing." He kissed her forehead. Then he walked upstairs. Elena watched him disappear. Something was wrong. She just didn't know what. A week later, Marcus told her he had a business conference in another city. "How long?" "2 nights." "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow morning." She nodded. "Okay." That night, while doing laundry, Elena found a hotel receipt in the pocket of Marcus's jacket. She unfolded it. Her stomach tightened. The hotel was in a city 3 hours away. The date was from the previous week. 2 nights. The same week Marcus had told her he had been working late at the office. Elena stood there holding the receipt. For several seconds, she considered waking him. She could walk upstairs. Wake him. Hold the receipt in front of his face. Ask him what was happening. Instead, she folded it carefully. She put it back. And she said nothing. Because something inside her told her that the hotel receipt wasn't the real secret. It was only a symptom. The following Monday, Marcus came home with a strange proposal. "We need to restructure the companies." Elena looked up from her laptop. "Why?" "We're carrying too much debt." She frowned. "That isn't true." Marcus leaned against the kitchen counter. "You haven't seen everything." Elena slowly closed her laptop. "I see the books." His expression changed. Only for a second. But she saw it. "You don't see every account," he said. "I see every account I'm authorized to see." "Exactly." He walked away. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. At 2 in the morning, she went downstairs. She opened the company accounting system. She checked recent activity. Several financial folders had been moved. Some transaction records were missing. She checked the access history. Someone had logged in from a device she didn't recognize. She clicked on the device details. Her heart stopped. The device was registered to Marcus. Elena stared at the screen. She didn't panic. She didn't cry. She simply opened a blank notebook. At the top, she wrote one sentence. Find out what Marcus is hiding. Then she began. She checked bank statements. She checked invoices. She checked vendor accounts. She checked payroll. She checked credit cards. She checked property records. At first, everything looked normal. Then she found something. A payment for $85,000. The recipient was a company she had never heard of. Westbridge Holdings. She searched the name. The company existed, but it had no obvious employees. No public website. No real business presence. She looked at the registered address. It was a private mailbox. Then she checked the corporate filing. The listed attorney was Marcus's personal lawyer. Elena's breathing slowed. She opened another transaction. $120,000. Same company. Then another. $210,000. Another. $400,000. She opened a spreadsheet and began adding the amounts. The number kept growing. $400,000. $650,000. $910,000. $1.2 million. Then she found another account. Another company. Another transfer. By sunrise, Elena had identified more than $2 million that had been moved through businesses connected to Marcus. She leaned back in her chair. The house was silent. The children were asleep upstairs. Marcus was sleeping in the bedroom. Elena stared at the numbers. Suddenly, the hotel receipt made sense. The secret phone calls made sense. The changed passwords made sense. The sudden conversations about restructuring made sense. This wasn't simply an affair. Marcus wasn't preparing to leave with another woman. He was preparing to leave with their money, and possibly their entire company. Elena's hands trembled for the first time. She looked toward the staircase. Then she whispered, "What are you planning?" The next morning, Marcus came downstairs smiling. "Good morning." Elena looked at him. "Morning." He kissed her cheek. "You okay?" "Fine. You look tired." "Didn't sleep much." He smiled. "Neither did I." He poured coffee. Then he picked up his briefcase. "I'll be late tonight." Elena nodded. "Okay." He walked toward the door. Then he turned. "Oh, and Elena?" "Yes. We may need to talk about your role in the company." She forced a smile. "Why?" "Nothing serious." He opened the door. "Just some changes." Then he left. Elena stood alone in the kitchen. For 12 years, she had believed the company was their shared dream. Now she understood something terrifying. Marcus wasn't changing the company. He was changing the story. He was preparing to make it look as if Elena had never truly belonged. But there was one thing Marcus had forgotten. Elena had been keeping the books since day one, and every lie he had buried in those books had left a paper trail. She opened her laptop again. This time, she wasn't looking for proof that something was wrong. She was looking for proof that would protect everything she had built. And she knew exactly where to begin. Elena began with the outside accountant. His name was Thomas Reed, and he had worked with their company for nearly 8 years. He knew Marcus. He knew Elena. Most importantly, he knew the company's history. Elena called him from her car. "Thomas, I need to meet you privately." There was a pause. "Is everything okay?" "No." His voice immediately changed. "Does Marcus know?" "No." "Then don't tell him yet." Elena gripped the steering wheel. "You already suspected something?" "I suspected financial irregularities." "How long?" "Several months." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Marcus told me you had approved the transfers." Elena closed her eyes. "Of course he did." Thomas continued quietly. "There are also documents I was asked to prepare." "What documents?" "Ownership transfer documents." Elena's stomach tightened. "To whom?" "Mostly Marcus." She swallowed. "Can you send me copies?" "I already have." The files arrived while they were still on the phone. Elena opened the first document. Her hands went cold. Marcus had prepared a restructuring agreement that would transfer a significant portion of the company's assets into Westbridge Holdings. She opened the next file. There were statements describing Elena as a limited administrative participant. She almost laughed. Administrative. For 12 years, she had managed the finances, negotiated payment schedules, reviewed contracts, and worked with banks. Now Marcus was trying to rewrite her role as if she had spent 12 years answering phones. "Thomas." "Yes." "Did Marcus tell you why he wanted these documents?" "He said the company needed protection." "Protection from what?" "He didn't say." Elena stared at the screen. She knew. Protection from her. She called an attorney named Rebecca Shaw. Rebecca specialized in business disputes and financial fraud. Elena had never met her before. That was intentional. She didn't want anyone connected to Marcus. At Rebecca's office, Elena placed 3 boxes on the table. Rebecca opened the first. She read silently. Then she looked up. How long has this been happening? About 18 months. Does your husband know you discovered it? No. Good. Rebecca closed the folder. Don't confront him. I wasn't planning to. Excellent. Rebecca began examining the records. After nearly 2 hours, she pointed to a document. This is important. What? This shareholder agreement. Elena frowned. I know that agreement. Look at section 14. Elena read it. Her eyes widened. If either shareholder commits financial misconduct that materially harms the company, the other shareholder can request an emergency review of the ownership structure. Rebecca nodded. And if we can prove the transfers were unauthorized. Elena finished the sentence. He could lose control. Potentially. Elena leaned back. For the first time in weeks, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. But Rebecca warned her. Don't move too quickly. Why? Because if he's planning something bigger, we want him to reveal it. So Elena went home and pretended nothing had changed. Marcus continued his performance. He bought flowers. He asked about the children. He smiled at dinner. He even planned a weekend getaway. Elena played along. But inside, she was documenting everything. Every strange email. Every financial request. Every suspicious transfer. Every conversation. Then one Friday night, Marcus announced, I think we should sell one of the smaller companies. Elena looked up. Which one? The residential division. Why? We aren't making enough from it. Elena knew that was false. The division had generated nearly $1.3 million in profit the previous year. She smiled. How much are you selling it for? About $400,000. Elena nearly laughed. The company was worth several times that. Who is buying? Another investment group. What's their name? West